Okay, so now we're going to do a normality. I just want to share with you our journal, the Montessori International Montessori Society. We have a journal. Actually, the headquarters is in Milwaukee, where I did my PGY1 back in the Jamaica College of Wisconsin back in 2000. I don't want to tell you the year, but it's 2002 was. So, so we have to have the access. We have been talking about uh, research, and so let me take you to this journal. Hopefully, it's going to work. So this is, you see, this International Parkinson's and Movement Disorder Society. So the last volume of this is in November of this year. So we're going to go to this review of journals. Somebody have very nice music there in the background. So I found different articles interesting, but continue with the line of research. Somebody was asking me about autonomic dysfunction. We can talk about, I want to give you some topics. I want to do the opposite for the next time. We talk about freezing and Parkinson's. We have been talking about high frequency ultrasound, so we have to see what's it's an alternative for people with tremors and Parkinson's or essential tremor. Resting tremor. So this is very, very interesting that usually we're talking about resting tremor. We're looking for the opposite side of the brain, but now the actually is saying this ipsilateral. So it's very surprising, but something we'll talk about it. And so there is a lot of topics in this article, but I want to go from the review. There is something that is everywhere. The medication that we use now for diabetes and to decrease weight, and it seems to have some impact in Parkinson's. So there's some studies about that. Like we talk about Monjaro or Ozempic. So I'm telling you that we can review, go to this in the end or get some more topics, but let's continue our journal club. We went to this journey with Parkinson's. So let's talk about, sometimes it's very difficult to distinguish between the true Parkinson's versus drug-induced Parkinsonism. Many people come to my office with resting tremor, and sometimes looking for the list of the medication, I find medication like Abilify or haloperidol. So basically, this is Parkinson's or no Parkinson's is about the balance of dopamine. So you have normal dopamine, no schizophrenia, no hallucinations. You have too little dopamine, you have Parkinson's. So sometimes try to fight hallucinations or fight depression. People get Abilify and then they come to the office like very similar to Parkinson's. So that's a drug-induced Parkinsonism. And sometimes people can have both. So sometimes it's very difficult to distinguish one or the other. And we can do now a DAT scan or a SPECT imaging. So interesting enough, many people come in for this. It just drug-induced Parkinsonism with no dopamine deficiency, just taking away the medication, Abilify, haloperidol, people get better. We can give it some medication like benztropine and they get better. But I found in the clinic many times that when I do the DAT scan, I actually have both. So sometimes giving the medication, people get better. So I keep the medication and always a little concerned if I do too much dopamine, I can produce hallucinations. So that's a trade-off. So this is the abstract from that article. So they say that this study shows that drug-induced Parkinsonism, sometimes we cannot distinguish clinically. If I see somebody with a resting tremor, it could be somebody that have idiopathic Parkinson's disease, meaning decrease the dopamine. And you know what's my definition of idiopathic, right? We're idiots. We don't know. Idiopathic, that means no reason for the thing. So we amazing. We just say a very elegant word. Say you have idiopathic Parkinson's. He said, "What do I mean, doctor? That you don't know anything about it?" Yes, we don't know what produced that. For the most part, Parkinson's disease is idiopathic. 85%. Other cases, there is no reason. But we here in Florida or in the United States, we have people being in Vietnam, being in the military, being exposed to the Agent Orange, people in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, toxins, people in Florida, pesticides, people like having brain concussion or strokes like Muhammad Ali can have vascular Parkinsonism. Or people having very young onset of Parkinson's like Michael J. Fox or Ransom family, there are some people have hereditary or genetic induced Parkinson's. So this study have been shown sometimes with imaging, and now people talking about, well, the biopsy, this alpha-synuclein skin biopsy, we don't do it here. Many people asking more and more. I find people coming from the VA have more support. The biopsy is positive. So sometimes it's very difficult to distinguish. If it's drug-induced, it's supposed that the alpha-synuclein is supposed not to be in the tissue. So if we do a biopsy in somebody with drug-induced Parkinsonism, the biopsy is supposed to be negative. So that's that we take from that. Okay. See, somebody was asking me about multisystem atrophy, and she's not here, but it was about dysautonomy, and we talk about multisystem atrophy and cognitive decline in Parkinson's. So this study shows that actually people have autonomic dysfunction. Actually, they are more in a risk to have dementia. So because we talk this kind of Parkinsonism, usually the physiopathology is different, but as well the progression is faster. So in the abstract of this article, again, from the Journal of the Movement Disorder Society, and again, when you go to look or ask me for research or looking for anything that you want to ask about is good or bad for you, try to look in the good source. So you ask me anything, we can write anything in internet, right? So it's very important to go to the American Society of Neurology, the journal we have neurology. You go to the NIH, you can go, it is something about Parkinson's. I refer you to this journal, which is what keeps us up to date. So basically, they say the no motor symptoms have been recently become a focus of the clinical, because most of the time, primary care physicians, and most of the time we talk about tremors, but we forget about cognition, we forget about autonomic dysfunction, orthostatic hypotension, sweating too much or sweating too little, sexual dysfunction, urinary frequency. So there's the no motor symptoms, anxiety, cognition. So this is very important to focus in these other no motor symptoms in Parkinson's. So autonomic dysfunction. And this is a request of somebody last time. So we talk about a little more about the autonomic dysfunction in Parkinson's or Parkinsonism. At some point, not necessarily you have to have multisystem atrophy to have orthostatic hypotension. Sometimes I do dopamine challenge and people have intolerance to dopamine, and sometimes we can be diagnosed with MSA. So basically, some people can have only alpha-synuclein or this misfold protein affecting the autonomic system. And that's not only interesting enough in this article, we're always thinking about the brain, but that could be as well in the peripheral nervous system. So together with primary autonomic failure, the primary autonomic failure in the spectrum of dopamine deficiency, again, is not only Parkinson's. You do that scan with these people. I remember one of my first patients, actually, she was working for Intercoastal, and she unfortunately had to be retired. I ordered that scan, and that was almost 10 years ago. By that time, people were looking at me like I have 3 heads. And finally, we found that definitely she had a alpha-synuclein, and that was in the autonomic system. By now, 10 years later, she's getting some symptoms of Parkinson's. Very little, but not the same. It has some flavor. But the main issue in her case is orthostatic hypotension. For that particular condition, we have a medication. It's called Northera. I don't know if you're familiarized or you have any problem with that, but we're using fluorocortisone, we use Midodrine, but it's a particular medication in this condition of orthostatic hypotension in Parkinson's, MSA, or pure autonomic dysfunction. It's called Northera, which is droxidopa. Sounds like carbidopa, levodopa, dopa, anyway. So the MSA could be another spectrum of this. So MSA stands for multi-system atrophy. The autonomic system usually starts first, but another system can be affected. The motor system, later with a little tremor, lack of sweating, cardiovascular with autonomic dysfunction. So one of the systems is the cardiovascular. Other system could be your ability to sweat. Some people sweating too much, and she said, "Why are you doing for this? I sweating a lot." And sometimes I have one patient very interesting enough, sweating only half of the body, right? Because as a part of the Parkinson was more affected. So the left side of the brain affected, had the tremor in the and the right side, and sweating a lot only in the right side. Very interesting, right? So that the pseudomotor, the gastrointestinal is very well known for all of you. The gastrointestinal could be precede motor with having constipation. So urinary. So we talk about urinary frequency. Many times people are, as I had to wake up several times during the night, and sometimes just giving a standard list, we can improve the urinary frequency, but sometimes not. Sometimes, remember, we talked about previously about is the pump or is the pipe, meaning is the bladder or the urethra, or is the electricity of the pump, which is the nervous system, and the neurotransmitter, the dopamine is affecting. So we talk about that. Okay. Okay, sexual dysfunction, always this like taboo. You're sometimes very afraid to talk to us, but unfortunately, it can be part of the problem with Parkinsonism, or multisystem atrophy. So constipation, we talk about that. Constipation, we have a multiple. Actually, we have a lady here that came with a recipe for constipation, so we appreciate that. Any input you got to us. So in the multisystem atrophy, cardiovascular. So again, we always think about tremors, but orthostatic hypotension can happen. Pseudomotor anhidrosis, meaning no sweating or sweating too much, and heat intolerance. Sometimes you remember we sweat because it is too warm here in Florida. The sweating cool off your body, but you don't sweat. Your mind is very. You just want to have a shower. You want to have to cool you off. So the sweating is to keep your temperature good. But if some people have no sweating, then they will have heat intolerance. Gastrointestinal constipation. Some people less likely diarrhea, but some people actually have diarrhea with medications in Parkinson's, and difficulty swallowing. And the gastrointestinal as well, we talked about previously about the lack of sense of smell, of the movement of the gout, of the absorption, and loss of weight. We talked about in previous about this. Renal and urinary bladder. So nocturia. Nocturia means you need to go, you wake up and you need the desire to go to pee. So that disrupts your sleep. We talk about that sometimes curing or eliminating nocturia is not usually the case, but you go from 5 times to only 3 times will be a winner, right? So you have better quality of sleep. So frequency, urgency, or even incontinence or retention. They're usually more common in MS, but in Parkinson's, we found more frequency, but the other things, incontinence or retention can happen less likely, less frequent. Sexual, so most of the time we don't talk about this, but sexual erectile dysfunction and ejaculation failure. So in the sexual activity, there is 2 phases. So the erection in the males is something is parasympathetic. We talk it autonomic. And the ejaculation is sympathetic. So in this, we talk about erectile dysfunction or ejaculation failure. So we're talking about the parasympathetic or the sympathetic dysfunction. Ocular. So always we come with double vision, the decrease of different size of the pupil. We call that anisocoria. Or Horner syndrome is when you have the eyelid going down and not necessarily have like a nerve palsy. That can happen as well with autonomic dysfunction, sympathetic system. Respiratory. In the past, we said somebody come and say, no, I had shortness of breath. I said, no, it's not Parkinson, but it could be. So can have some problem with restriction. You think about it, the muscles in the thorax are restricting the breathing. You can have this. So this is a little more about the autonomic dysfunction. So looking about the Lewy body disorder spectrum, this is the localization. It is affecting the brainstem, meaning the sustancia negra in Spanish, sustancia negra, negro, black, right? So that means there is a disturbance in the production of dopamine that is a brainstem by itself only is idiopathic Parkinson's, meaning tremors, mainly. Is the brainstem plus cortical is the Lewy body dementia. So you have problem with the memory first, then widespread, that's the Lewy body dementia, or dementia and Parkinson's. You have brainstem plus spinal cord and sympathetic, then you have orthostatic hypotension, MSA. So it's more widespread alpha-synuclein affecting your body. Okay. So we have been knowing, again, we point out about research about cognition, or cognitive decline in Parkinson's associated dementia. We talk and make clear how in time is the difference between Lewy body dementia versus Parkinson's associated dementia. So in Parkinson's associated dementia, you have the motor symptoms first, and then with the progression, you can get dementia, hallucinations. But the hallucinations come first, and it's the whole fluctuations, REM sleep behavior, could be Lewy body dementia. So you have hallucinations all the time, like somebody mentioned to me, just getting sleepy, waking up, and the main thing is cognition, and later on time can have little tremors, most likely Lewy body dementia, plus REM sleep behavior, plus another feature that being very picky with vision, with the small thing, they are very picky about the things. So that's Lewy body dementia. And by the way, Lewy body dementia sometimes is very difficult to treat. And actually, there's an article about transcranial stimulation for Lewy body dementia. Somebody was asking me yesterday, there is any treatment. So I just see in the journal last night about that. In the past, we said it's intractable, but it seems there's a lot of research. So we're very excited to see new things in Parkinson's. And again, in the research, I will keep an eye for the new journal reviews that will be the modality for next year, looking for the treatment for Parkinson's like we're doing for Alzheimer's. So we're keeping an eye on that. Now, again, this is again in propaganda. For our clinic, we have the memory clinic. The head of the clinic is Dr. Concha, and we're doing infusion for Kisunla and for Leqembi for Alzheimer's. So hopefully, in the future, we said we have infusion now for Parkinson's. Hopefully, the product is coming. Okay, so let's look, keeping the journal club, going to the recent failures and new potential symptomatic treatment for Parkinson's. So most of the time we're looking for the treatment for the motor symptoms, but not the motor symptoms. But now there's a lot of research about fatigue, problem with sweating too much, not sweating, problem with depression. So a lot of things have been getting to the new lines of research in Parkinson's. So there is a novel agent to improve symptoms of Parkinson's. So it's not only the motor again. So basically, we have to look motor and non-motor symptoms. Usually, the model that we use to research in Parkinson's is a mouse or mice that have the MPTP. This is the tetrahydropyridine, which is a toxin that can produce Parkinson's. So in the lab, you get this toxin, place it to a mouse, and the mouse get Parkinson's. So basically, that's the model we use for do the research in Parkinson's. So they're doing different lines of research, motor, non-motor, with this type of mice or models. Okay, so we're talking about as well trials of delaying the treatment, or what is neuroprotective or what is not neuroprotective. So basically, in the past, we were thinking, no, I know, and many of you are actually patients, they say, no, I don't want to be treated. I don't want medication. I want to do exercise. And we know the only thing is neuroprotective is exercise. But we found with these studies that actually giving medication in Parkinson's is better than not treated. Actually, giving medication is neuroprotective. So that's the conclusion. Look at this. Okay, so we're getting about neuroprotection. So neuroprotection is something that we can do to modify or prevent you to progress in Parkinson's. So there are multiple trials, and most of them fail. And I'm very sure that one medication that I use, and the one I loved and I want to use at the beginning, we do not have too many symptoms of Parkinson's, is Acelec or MLB inhibitors. In Europe, or there is another medication, it's called Sadago as well. People use Celgene. So those MLB inhibitors It's like the cherry in the cake or the cherry in the cocktail. Many of you have here my resemblance or my example that as a parking specialist, I want to give you the right cocktail. So you are not in the age to drink alcohol, and I'll give you the alcohol. The alcohol in that cocktail, in that pina colada in Parkinson's, is the carbidopa leopa. You take too much, you get drunk. You have dyskinesias. But you're not taking it really needed, you don't feel well. So, but you just in the age, start with any medication, I give you that cherry, that cocktail, that the first one to place and the last one to take it out, right? You take your pina colada and there's, I don't know, you can take the cherry first. It's up to you. But that's the last one to take it away. So I know that medication is neuroprotective. However, we cannot, I don't have evidence to tell you that because the last study in that medication, the Baguio study, failed to show to be neuroprotective. But I think was the length of the sample in that study was not perfect. But we know as well this give you some cognitive improvement. So I know many of you say, but why you give me this medication? This is not like the aspirin for the headache because you don't have tremors. I said, no, I don't want to use it because it's not doing anything for me. But the people that know that works and actually had to hold it for surgery for 2 weeks said, you know what? I stop it and I feel it. I need it. And they know the decline. So honestly, the study showed that really you don't need to hold it. But because now we have the issue that could be a potential interaction with anesthesia, with hypertension crisis, the standard of care now is to hold it for 2 weeks. But I know it's neuroprotective. But real with all the studies that that's in this summary said that the only thing is really neuroprotective. And you want to be tired to hear from me, exercise. Exercise and exercise. Remember, that's very important. So now the focus of this, and the article I reviewed the most is this one. Something is called small particles and big potential. Small making big impact, big improvement. So this is called nanoparticles. Nanoparticle, that means as very small particles, as small as a virus. Virus can be just attack you go to everywhere because they are so small. And so with that concept, we try to get medication that with that small to get through the blood-brain barrier to be go where you need it and the amount you need it. So there's a concept that I want to tell you. There was a lady that said this. So we try to get the right dose and the right combination and the right vehicle to get the medication. And I think it's probably part of the new medications. Now we have, I said, now we have the Crexont. So an example is something similar to this or not. But the Crexont, I said, somebody want to go to my clinic and see some of you already tried Crexont. Only one disappointed right now, but the rest is a hit so far. You need to wait one week. But I tell you, the Crexont is like talking about the iPhone 18, 16, we're in 16, right? But iPhone is an iPhone. But the iPhone 1, they just said the cinnamon, right? But iPhone is iPhone, Carbiopa Leopa is Carbiopa Leopa. Let's say the iPhone 10 was Raitari. But now we have the iPhone 16, which is Crexont. The problem, is more expensive, right? iPhone 1 versus iPhone 16 is more expensive than iPhone 16. The Crexont iPhone is going to be more expensive, but it's approved by insurance so far. I have like 5 or 6 hits versus only one strike, one person. But probably we start very early in our person that was just taking the regular Carbiopa Leopa. But with the people that get motor fluctuations seems to be working. So I'm very happy to tell you that. So let me go. That when we try to go in the pharmacology now, in Parkinson's disease, we try to see how we can make or replace the dopamine right without having all these side effects. So the right dose. So remember, to be afraid to give dopamine too early is because in Parkinson's, we talked about in the beginning of Parkinson's, is because later in time you can have motor fluctuations. So you can have off time, on time, dyskinesias, and too much other things. So basically, we're trying different medications now with all the groups and Parkinson's, including the COM inhibitors, the MLB inhibitors. We try to see how we can get where we need it, go to the blood-brain barrier. We have been talking all the time about the positive interaction with proteins. So if the protein is in your gut, or you take your medication, carbidopa leopa, very close to the medication, then these proteins or the amino acid will be trying to get a shuttle. You don't get to the brain just like that. You need like a passport. You need a transport. You need the plane to take you there, right? You get it from South America, you get to North America. You have to get a visa to the customs, right? The custom is a blood-brain barrier. But you go to a moment like all planes come at the same time, you know you'll be in line. You have to wait. But you go earlier and nobody's there. You go 1 in the morning, there's no flights. You get directly to the custom, you get there and fine. So that's why we like the carbidopa leopa to be given 1 hour before or 2 hours after. But it's when the molecule is big. But you make this small, right? Then they will be just going free. Now, I don't know. Now you go to the airport. I get you this could be very silly example, but sometimes now you go to the airport, you go to the line versus now with the biometrics. You just go to another line, you just place your UI, you look at that, and you say you are. There you are, you go. Well, you don't have to go to customs. So that's the medications just go, that doesn't go to the customs. It's very small and go state, and that's what we call about the nano molecules or drugs. So that's the way we try to get, that needs to be the future of these medications. So the L-DOPA is a big or large amino acid, so it's not going to go to the custom, the blood-brain barrier, but we to go to a small molecular and try to get, it's possible to be straight through the blood-brain barrier. Another studies we're doing is try to get this blood-brain barrier more friendly and allow these particles to come. And some studies doing no high frequency, but low frequency ultrasound. With low frequency ultrasound, you make the blood barrier more friendly, and the medication is probably going to be coming easier to the brain. We're talking about normal medication, but it as well, this could be the future for other medication for Parkinson's. Okay. So there is some device assisted therapy we're going to see today. Actually have a special guest. So we'll talk about the pump in Parkinson's. So the subcutaneous or transcutaneous pump, but it's not only for the carbidopa, but there's some studies as well for the apomorphine. Apomorphine sounds like narcotic. It's not narcotic. The apomorphine is actually a dopamine agonist. It has been used through the stomach. There was as well used as sublingual, and now will be a pump. The problem with that medication initially was the nausea, and we need to get a medication. It's called Tigan, but we'll take it away from the market. That's why the sublingual form, unfortunately, the company broke because we don't have a medication to take the nausea away. So by now, we want to have a pumps. Today we have a very special guest to talk about that. But as well, we try to get another, most of the medications go to this technology to get it very small molecules to go to the blood-brain barrier. So this is the concept. Back in 1959, Nobel laureate Richard Freeman introduced this concept of nanotechnology during the American Physical Society in the annual meeting. And from them, we get this concept, and now is having an interest for all of us to get make a difference in how we provide medications, not only for Parkinson's, for many other things. So it's called nanoparticles. So the nanoparticle, nano, in Spanish nano or nano means small, but nano means it's so small that is almost the size of a virus. So small, you can definitely, be able to looking with naked eye. It's only with electron microscope you can see with these particles. So you see how small they are. So that seems to be very effective. So there is this review here about what is happening with this technology in Parkinson's. So I'm going to show you some articles because I think probably our guests want to fall asleep with me with talking about this. So there is some polymeric nanoparticles, and there is some natural and there is some synthetic. So they have been doing this technology to optimize the way we deliver medications in Parkinson's. So I'm not going to go in specific with all these. But I want to show you in a table how many we have. So we have synthetic and natural. Some of the synthetic are created polymers, such there is a lactic glycol acid PLGA, or polyethylene glycol. So there's some natural. So let me show you in this how that works. So you see this particle right there. There's one that's called nanocapsule. You see the white right here, the white. This white is the capsule, and this like a mesh. So in the capsule, and you get the particles in that capsule, or like in a mesh, you place pickleball, you get the balls in that mesh. So there's the different way that they can carry these very small particles, get entrapped in these nanoparticles and go through the blood-brain barrier. So this is the way that the future of medicine. So there's the way to go through the blood-brain barrier. So they are very tiny, they kind of squeeze them, right? You are a big guy, try to get in a small, you cannot fit it. But you are small, you got it right there. Just squeeze it, no, you don't need it. Said hello, bye-bye. Okay, so L-DOPA is an example that shows such affinity for a carrier. So we get the LAT1 carrier is going to take that one, and then it's a small particle is going to take the carbidopa through the blood barrier. And if that's the case, we have these carriers, and the L-DOPA is going to these nanoparticles, then we don't have to worry about the diet. They don't tell you have to eat 1 hour before, no. It's so small, they said, I already ate, but this so small that you go straight. You just say my biometric, I'm good. So they go straight. So these are different ways the different particles can go to those blood-brain barrier. And I just told you about the small particles. Some of them, they had to be in small capsules that had to go through those cells. So the blood-brain barrier is a very important mechanism to protect the brain against what we eat with medications and so on. So medications that are like lipid, or they can go through the blood barrier easier, or some they need mechanisms to get through that barrier. So like carriers or choice, or we have the nanomolecules that we talked today that go straight and easier. So the impact in the treatment of Parkinson's disease and the blood-brain barrier is very important, because I just mentioned, and usually the topic we talk about how you take your medication. You have to be careful what you eat. And now, if the blood-brain barrier is intact, and we have these small molecules that carry these medications to the brain, will be fantastic. And nevertheless, you get more exact with the amount that you want to give it to the brain without the side effects. Okay. So we have some in vitro and in vivo studies for this already going on. And I'm going to tell you the current research that we have. This sounds a little busy right there, but I want to tell you there are different medications with different particles. I'll give you some examples, like dopamine in cellulose, and there have been in the group of PLA. So the dopamine, we have almost all these patients who have levodopa. And there is all medication is listed here that we don't use usually in Parkinson's, but it's a dopamine agonist. It's used more people having prolactinomas. It's called bromocriptine, that back in the day was used in Parkinson's, but we don't use it because it can produce pulmonary fibrosis, but it's listed there. I'm just curious that they're doing that, even though with this profile, the side effects. You see it now, beside dopamine, there is as well all these dopamine agonists, ropinirole, rotigotine. You see, it's not, we have the Nupro. Not many of you are very familiar, but Nupro is a very good medication in Parkinson's, but it's very expensive. It's a patch. But now we have these nanomolecules that can be that have been in the study. Even the recycling, I just told you about the cherry in the cocktail, as well as in a small PLGA nano molecule that has been studied. And now as well with that, not only medications, we're talking about nerve growth factors, we're talking about genes, and something that could be probably directed against the alpha-synuclein. Even the cumin, really the cumin you place in your food, this is to be probably good in Parkinson's. It's there. So And even nicotine. Nicotine, you think nicotine is bad, but actually nicotine is a medication in Parkinson's. The problem with the cigarette, and actually you know that nicotine is something that could be neuroprotective in Parkinson's. The problem is in the cigarette how you do it, because they go to the all this combustion to go to your lungs and can produce cancer. But nicotine, like caffeine, are stimulants and have been using as well in dementia in a small amount. And I always have to say about Colombian coffee, right? A small Colombian coffee can help you with cognition, a small amount. I don't want to have a heart attack, but I have to promote my country. I'll be there 2 days from today. So I will say my 2 days hello to my mother. So I had to promote hola mama. Okay, so you see you got it more. So cumin, you see, is now many people of you ask me about CoQ10, creatinine, but now you cumin. You place that in my food, but it's in this probably working in Parkinson. We'll see. So nicotine, look at that. Nicotine, this is having a study. So don't be surprised. And resveratrol, there's a lot of things here. So this is like the summary of this study, and this is very interesting. So again, my plan for the future, I want to look in the journal, what is something interesting, and tell you what's up with it in the movement disorder, what's new in Parkinson's, because we have been through a lot of things. Asking what do you want to do next time. Somebody said I want this, but she's not here. There, okay. So we talk of polymeric nanoparticles for drug delivery in Parkinson's disease. So the origin could be natural or could be synthetic. The natural is albumin. Albumin is a protein that we have in our body that is produced in the liver. When somebody have a malnutrition, the albumin will be low. Is it synthetic? It's like polymers that we can do. The therapeutic agents. So we're looking for dopaminergic therapies, dopamine, levodopa, dopamine agonists like pramipexole, Mirapex, ropinol, Requip. We talk about bromocriptine, which again, I'm very surprised they're doing that, but is using. Apomorphine, which again is non-narcotic, is the same that we use in injection for off times. And MOB inhibitors, resilin and selagin. So all those medications have been designed and placed in a very small mesh, nanoparticles to get delivered. Do you see that will be the future of the medications in Parkinson's? Agents with other targets. So antioxidants, CoQ10, neuroprotective factors, neurotrophic factors. So you know, many people ask you about stem cells, but probably you can get in this small mesh nanoparticles some factors that can make some cells in your brain to produce more dopamine. So this is very exciting. You see, there's not. It was a lady that described that back in the 1950s. So look, before I was born, they said a lot. Okay, and genes, actually with genes. Now we have study sites. We had in vitro and in vivo. So they have been using mouse, but as well have some studies already in humans. So that's where we are in that research. We have in the line of research. So I try to continue with the line of research. So that's why I place this over here. So what are you thinking for the journal club for the next time? Because I always ask if there is no, and this, if there is something else in the new um, uh, journal for the next time we go. I think this one is probably want to start next time. This is like, remember in Netflix, you finish. I said, in the next week. So for the next month, we probably have the glucagon-like peptide-1 receptor agonist. Has been like miracle medication for people who want to lose weight. And there's some studies as well. They've seen that this can impact or decrease Parkinson's disease as well. So we're looking at that. So Monjaro, Ozempic, and actually some people that have the Ozempic come, Dr. Gonzalez, you know about this? I didn't know, but now we know, and this is actually in the journals now. So every time you have a question, please, I invite you to go to a very important source. Don't believe whatever you read all the time. Just go to a very, very important source. So that's all we have for you. Before I said Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year. And then I want to vote the questions, and then we have in a special guest. Yes, Richard. My neurologist, you know very well. I don't know. Ricky Ricardo, right?
levodopa, carbidopa for a while. Now I'm on a time release thing. My curiosity is before you said that it was an hour, you have to watch your food intake and you take straight levodopa, carbidopa. In the time release, how does that get through the barrier?
These, I don't think I have to look from the Crexon people if they had the nanomolecule. I doubt it. It's possibly some technology there, but I think it still is the levodopa, the regular one. So I think apply the same with the proteins, but I don't know if the Crexon tank will be the nano Crexon. So with now the molecule that we have, again, this is research, the molecule is the thing is more how they adheres to your the mucus on you in your stomach. So because they get there implanted and then start releasing it slowly, you get a better improvement. But it still is the same molecule. It's just the way you release it very slowly and get a very steady level. And I'm very happy to see some faces that I give the Crexon already and see we have to be very proud. One of this part of the Florida, Dr. Hauser was one of the main researchers in this area. So I'm very happy to see. And probably, again, this is our iPhone 16 in Parkinson's, is the Crexon, but this is still an iPhone. And you need to recharge it and be sure that you have to take care. So the rule, I think, is something to ask, but the rule for the protein stays the same. So I probably know as an impact because it's standard release. So the beauty of that as well, you have immediate release and extended release. When we have the Rytary, it's one more extended release. And sometimes the Rytary as well, the Crexon, in some people probably not want to work. If you think about it, it's like you place a turtle in a highway. But this turtle, the Crexon have a turtle, but as well some horses. So you have the very slow release, but you have something that just start working. So impulse, the guys go too slow, you say, okay, you push it, you got it right, and you get a good level, you got very smooth ride. That's what we like to have in the treatment with Parkinson's. Oh, thank you. And Dr. Gonzalez can approve this message. No bias, thank you, I appreciate it very much. Any other questions? Yes. Yes, we talk about that's the cherry in the cocktail. So that is an MLB inhibitor, and what that means is there is an enzyme. Enzyme is a protein that breaks down medication like levodopa. So the MLO comes and breaks down the dopamine. So there's an inhibitor. I said, no, you have to hold it. You don't, this is like the scissor. So I hold the scissor, that's the enzyme that cut the medication. I hold it, the medication will be longer. And it seems as well that it has some properties to be neuroprotective because have these antioxidants or mechanisms that improve, but definitely improve on time in Parkinson's. And sometimes can potentiate the effect of dopamine, and sometimes people with this medication can have dyskinesias. So that's why we don't want this medication to give it at the same time with carbidopa-levodopa and give more on time. And as well for cognition, we see an improvement here. Yes. Dr. Hauser? For what? Yes, this is, I just show you from the beginning. This is the International Movement Disorder Society journal. So let me go back here. So let me go back. It's called, it's the movement disorder. It's from the official journal of the International Parkinson's and Movement Disorder Society. And actually the journal is movement disorders. And again, the headquarters is in Milwaukee, and again, is the official journal of the International Parkinson's and Movement Disorder Society. And the journal is called Movement Disorder. I encourage you to look at that. You have to see everything is happening in movement disorders, Parkinson's. We have a congress, usually international congress, every year. I remember when I was a fellow, I went to Paris. So I love Paris. And we have a very nice knowing Paris. So this is something you are interested in, recommended to go hands down to those congress. Any other questions? Yes.
And the medication doesn't seem to improve.
Yeah, so you know that's one of the secondary Parkinson's. So Mm, probably for prone from the accident, yes. But you know what happened in the vascular Parkinson, it was like a stroke or was a trauma. So there's an scary that's supposed they suppose this vascular Parkinson is supposed not to progress. So the mechanism or the reason you had that is because had the stroke, or for example, for Muhammad Ali, remember he had this. So because it was a bleed, the reason had this because there's some cells died behind the bleed, but that's supposed to not progress. Unfortunately, it depends on the style stroke, but I don't know if those medication, the other medication will protect you, but that would protect for the dopamine is left or the areas is intact. But that's supposed not be progressive for the vascular Parkinson's. But there's sometimes you have combinations. So the beauty of having patient is that we always said you don't have diseases, but you have patients. So patient not only have Parkinson's, patient can have diabetes, patient can have a sleep apnea, patient have taken oral medications, you have patient have taken Eliquis, or patient could be just having Parkinson's, which is very young. So idiopathic Parkinson's disease, when it's dopamine deficiency from the beginning, because there's an abnormalities in the mitochondria and the CoQ10, and that mechanism that's neuroprotective because there's a process of producing alpha-synuclein. So what you're trying to do, it is alpha-synuclein, misfold protein, could be neuroprotective in medication, but it is something for damage to the brain is a different story. So the more neuroprotective is not having more trauma of the brain. And it is really a pure vascular Parkinsonism. The main thing is not to have more stroke, no more trauma, whatever the reason to have the vascular Parkinsonism.
There, our doctor is also dealing with salaria.
Sialorrhea, you see, that's why you cannot complain about my accent. So sialorrhea for me is say hello, I said nurse. So the sialorrhea, and I have all the time problems getting the myoblock to be approved. And unfortunately, the people that approve medications are not in the medical field. They want me to give you something like can produce more constipation, and make your vision worse. So, or have a heart attack. It's saying, I don't mind, it's just medication. So it's money, so no. Unfortunately, the best medication for sialorrhea, it is too bad. It could do the point is too bad is the injections. So we do the myoblock. It's a botulinum toxin type B. A botulinum type A is Botox. So, and by the B is approved for this. This one is very rare, but I have like 3 denals for myoblock. That's the best medication for that. Myoblock. Any other questions? Okay, so thank you for coming, and I want to introduce to our guests. Let me say, can I stay for longer? I need to go to the clinic, so I had to excuse myself. I right here this. So thank you for coming, and let me listen a little bit, and then you don't have to leave and excuse myself. I have to go to the clinic. Thank you, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Just listen what we have here.
So my name is Sasha Brodek. I'm another guy with the accent. So you're gonna strain your ears. I work for
having us, right?
Yeah, thank you for having us. I work for AbbVie. It used to be Abbott Laboratories for the last 28 years. I've been in neuroscience for a long time. We came up in a 10 years worth of research with a new product that just hit the market about a month ago. It's called Vylev. And Dr. Gonzalez asked me to come here and introduce you guys what it is and what it does. And see maybe, educated patient is compliant patient is a good patient. So I applaud you for coming here and learning about disease, because the only way really you can take a hold of it is, it's an effort of the patient, of the doctor, of the community to, to get a better hold of disease. So you guys see the slides? So Vylev is a pump infusion system that does the drug that everybody here is mostly using is one form of another of dopamine. To kind of step back, in a nutshell, the Parkinson's disease is a lack of the dopamine production of the brain. And Dr. Gonzalez mentioned many times today, blood-brain barrier, and all the pharmaceutical companies and physicians and researchers are trying really to figure out how to cross that barrier and how to get that medication to the brain in the most efficient way, so we can have some kind of replacement of the dopamine brain and you can function. Unfortunately, a lot of money and time is spent to finding what is causing Parkinson's disease and how to cure it, but we have no progression there at all. There's nothing on the market right now that will come in next decade that will cure Parkinson's disease. We are clueless. But we are getting better and better in treating it and getting hold of the treatment and giving your life back to you. My mom was in Parkinson's disease, so as a provider and as a son of the patient, I kind of have a both experiences. What does it take to go through the Parkinson's disease? My mom passed away 5 years ago, but she experienced from beginning all the way to the end to the worst symptoms of Parkinson's disease. So I kind of feel you. And I was my mom's caretaker as well. So Vyalev is a new product. It's a pump infusion system. It's a subcutaneous, and it's only subcutaneous levodopa-based therapy that replaces all of your oral medication, including the COMT inhibitors. So you stop literally taking any of your oral medication. You just stay on this pump. I actually have it on me just as demonstration. So it's right here. I wear it on my hip. So it's kind of like fanny pack. It comes many ways, as we're going to talk about a little bit more with the slides. What the Vyalev really delivers the superior on time, and that's where you guys all want to be. You want to have be on and be functional. You have you're familiar with the off time phrase. I presume all of you are. And then you also have another end of it. It's dyskinesia when you have too much medication. So you want to be on. And beauty of this pump delivery system, it's 24 hours. So brain does not take a break at night when you sleep and stop producing dopamine. And that's why a lot of these patients will have extended release pills before they go to sleep, or when they wake up in the morning, they have problem getting on because they just depleted all their medications, everything else. We launched this product about 6 months ago in Europe. European agency like our FDA works a little bit faster, and they approved it. And we expected about 1,000 patients to have in the first few months. We had 4,200 patients. It really went off the shelves and crazy. It became a blockbuster in Europe. Why we have 4,200 patients? Because we have 4,200 pumps. We didn't have any more. We literally run out. And it was very, very successful start. So now, why Vyalev, is necessary in the treatment options, the treatment choice for the physicians is. So this is how regularly, system function. If you are taking oral medication, you take your medicine, whatever is, and many of them are available, but cinnamon, carbidopa, retired, whatever, you are on the mercy of your digestive systems a lot of times. What food are you taking with the protein, this and that is really fighting for the absorption. So on the right side, you see this graph, but it goes up and down, and that's a plasma level of the medication that is taken orally. And that's normal to expect. You take medications. If you're a little bit more advanced Parkinson's disease, you might have gastroparesis, so the medication might sit in your stomach for 2 hours before it gets in small intestine, it gets absorbed. So there's many factors that affects this plasma level. So in the end, you will have these peaks of your plasma levels, and then they will go really down low, and then you'll take a new pill, and you're going to go up and down. And that works great in the beginning of Parkinson's disease, because what we call your therapeutic window when medication works is really wide. You can drive semi-truck through it. So any medication that gets in your blood, it will work because you've just been diagnosed recently. Your symptoms are not that bad, and symptoms went away with that medication when you take it. So what happens later on, as disease progresses, you keep losing that. Your therapeutic window narrows down. So when you take medications, if you hit a peak, you get dyskinetic. And when your medication drops down, you go off. And you're only really functional when medication and plasma level is in the middle and stable. And so you keep fighting that all the time, all day. You plan your day really with your medication. You're on mercy of your medication. Am I going to have this activity? Well, I better take my medication 2 hours before, because 2 hours from now, I will be on. So what happened with Vyalev, it's a subcutaneous infusion. You guys familiar, probably you already have a family members or friends who have an insulin pump. It's pretty much the same thing. It's a little patch that you put on your stomach, like a Band-Aid. It's very small needle in there that you don't, it's the size of a human hair. So you don't even feel it. You just stick it on, you connect it to the pump, you turn the pump on, and that's what experience is. Your plasma levels, it bypasses your stomach and your digestive system, and it's 24 hours infusion, and your plasma levels reach steady states and stays there all the time. So you're constantly on. You have way much less dyskinesia, way much less off time, and you're functioning pretty much. You wake up on it. So beauty of that is you can plan your day, you can take your life back, you can do really whatever you want. Because in reality, most of the medication comes in 100 milligrams intervals or blah, blah, blah. Everybody has their different doses, but brain doesn't make dopamine in 100 milligrams intervals. It makes it on demand all the time, 24 hours. So how do we simulate that? So there was questions for all of the doctors and pharmacists. So first attempts in all of this was let's try make medication with extended release, better absorption, patches, rescues, this and that, just so we can simulate that constant steady state of the medication or dopamine in a blood. And a lot of times that works, but it's losing game many times because disease progresses, and now you got to change different doses, and the therapeutic window gets narrower and narrower. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. The beauty of the Vyalev is a microdosing that this could be programmed, and it is programmed for every patient individually. So you will come for the doctor's office, you will start on it. We'll start you on a certain dose, you come back in a week, and then we talk about what symptoms you have, and then we adjust the dose. And usually it takes only 2 times. And then you're really on a perfect dose for your body and for your state of your disease, which could be totally different than next patient. It could range anywhere between 400 milligrams a day to 3,500 milligrams a day, because everybody is different. Everybody's born different. Everybody has different deficiency of dopamine in the brain. So that's really beauty. And I seen in last 6 weeks since products were launched, patient coming in wheelchairs and pushing their wheelchair out on the way out. That how quickly. In a matter of the 20 minutes, medication is absorbed and keeps getting absorbed all the time. So that's a beauty. So who are the patients who are kind of, could benefits from this? And it's pretty much simple. Majority of people in this room, you have to have idiopathic Parkinson's disease, which probably most of you are. You take a minimum of 400 milligrams a day. So it's not for the early diagnosed, but in the middle and later, yes. And also you have, motor controls issues. And about 100% of patients on Parkinson's have motor control issues. It's just you have tremors. That's part of the disease. So so pretty much easy to qualify for it. So how did the well work, right? So we did clinical trials, and you're familiar with double-blinded, right? So we had 2 groups of patients. Each group of patients will get a pump, and each group of patients will get medication, oral medications. Just one group was fake medication and a pump, the sugar medication, and the other group was fake oral medication. So neither the doctors, neither the patient know which one they were taking. That's the only way really to be truthful about it. So on the end of the trial, the patients who were on Vyalev pump did 3 times better than patients who were on oral medication. This is optimized oral medications, and 80% of patients are not optimized because it's so difficult to optimize oral medication. Like I said, everybody's a little bit different. In a trial, they're seen weekly, and they're tweaked. All their medication are tweaked weekly, and 6 months later, we collect the data, and it was better than we expected. The patients were literally functioning normally, going back to workforce, doing stuff that they were unable to do for years. So it made a huge difference and impact of these patient lives. So it's not that just the patient was doing better, but 83% of patient was waking up on, like they didn't have Parkinson's disease. And majority of patients, the hardest time is in the morning when they get up, when you have Parkinson's. For my mom was, at least. I got to make sure she takes her medicine, then wait for the medicines to kick in, then she can do her toiletry and whatever she needs to do. With 83% patients who were on the pump, they woke up like they didn't have a Parkinson's. They went out of their bed and they went to their own business. And reason why, that because they were getting their medication throughout the night. It's 24 hours. So that's really good. The other thing that was also accidental benefits that we expected is going to happen, there was much more improvement during at night, at sleep. And we look at three things. We did, motor symptoms at night, PD symptoms at night, and we also did, disrupt sleep. And we had a 36% improvement on the patients during the nighttime. So they slept better in a nutshell, which is really remarkable. Pump, as you can see here, pump can be weared on your fanny pack. We also have vests for the ladies where they can put it in the pockets on the front and back, so you can wear a dress and could be invisible. But what most of the patients, which I was surprised, who see me back, they said they were happy that they were doing well, right? They says, I never knew that I could be back and do stuff with my grandkids, with my kids and this. But it says reduction of the pills, because you stop taking your oral medication. It says, I don't have to have my alarm anymore. I don't have to have reminder every 2-3 hours. And on average, patients who are taking 1,000 or plus, milligrams a day, they would do 360 pills a month. That's a load. We call it pill burden in medicine. So all of the Parkinson's medications, you don't take any of the Parkinson's medication. If you're taking cholesterol pills, you'll still take that. There's not miracle drugs. The brochures I left, that's about it. So you can find more information about it on the brochure as well. So that's really, that was surprising for us, that because, like I said, we watched the disease, but we don't live that. But patients who live that, they have a different point of view. So pill burden was actually a big issue for them. So that was so in a summary, this is on a market. It just came up 6 weeks ago, got launched in the United States. Unfortunately, it's not on Medicare yet. It's only a private insurance, 63 years of age and younger, because it takes about, when you get approved by FDA for the new product, it takes about 6 months for Medicaid to pick you up. So probably in late spring or early summer, this will be on Medicare. We assume there will be little or no issues being with the coverage. So far, the initial conversation with the Medicare, they want to do 100% coverage for the pump, relevant for the average patient copay. So the pump will be covered. And each patient will have different insurance, of course, and I cannot go in there because I don't know what everybody's insurance will be, but should be pretty decent coverage. So this is just kind of for you right now. I know all of you are probably on Medicare, right? But keep an eye on it. Talk to Dr. Gonzalez. He will know, one of the first guy who will know that, it is on Medicare. And that's going to be probably, it usually takes 6 months. So I presume late spring or early summer, it'll be on Medicare. If we follow the European trend, it's going to probably change a lot of lives of Parkinson's disease patients in the United States. It's so far, we launched in 6 weeks ago. We have 650 patients in the United States. So how this goes, what support you get, we provide, of course, free of charge, complete support for the physician, for their team, coverages as well. And also we have we call them nurse ambassador, but they're healthcare nurses. They come to your home, they train you, they explain you how to do it, and then you do it yourself. And then you come to the office, we titrate you, we start you, and the nurse comes back again and make sure that you know how to do it. How simple this is to use. If you know how to use your remote control on TV, you know how to use this. It's super simple. There are 3 buttons, actually 4. So we titrate medication for your disease, right? But we have 3 levels of distribution of this medication. You have a base rate, which you're on it all the time. And then we have a high flow and low flow. High flow, for example, I want to play pickleball. You press one button, now you give yourself a little bit higher dose high flow. And then you do your exercises, whatever you want to do, shower, swim, doesn't matter. Or you want to go to sleep, you switch it to low dose because your brain consumes less dopamine when you're not active. So there's no need for you to have a higher dose. So you can switch this low dose, low function, a base dose for the normal living and high dose for the high activities. There's also one extra dose button, which I love it. My mom loved it too. She was on different kind of pump that was going through the a peg in the stomach. It's a little microtubing. It's called a duopa. She will use that. And this is kind of like rescue dose. If you feel like, okay, I'm not getting enough, no matter what I do, I need a little boost. I call it double shot of espresso. She pressed that extra dose and she gets it. And she's like, all right, I'm going to do my thing, whatever I need to do now. So it's versatile, what I'm trying to say. You can control it yourself. It's not just, oh, I turn it on, which is fine. You can turn it on, it will run 24 hours, no problem. But if you want to do something else and you think you feel you need a pickup, you can do that. Or you want to relax, you can lower your consumption as well. It's kind of like microdosing, really, which is in Parkinson's space, and all of these medication that Dr. Gonzalez was telling us earlier, that's the battle we're fighting. And the levodopa and carbidopa or whatever waivers, it's just different forms of the dopamine. And why we, pro-drugs, post-drugs, because we're trying to fool that blood-brain barrier, right? We got to get it to the brain. This is the same thing, but we bypass the GI system and we microdoses, and they made a whole lot of difference in patient lives. We believe that this is going to be a blockbuster as well in the United States. So far, indications are we have 4 times more patients in the first 4 weeks than we expected. I believe the number is going to explode once we get on Medicare. Because then all of these patients will suddenly come. We are ready for it. We have a team set up for everybody. And so when the time comes, doctor will inform you, or you can stay informed yourself. Everybody has internet and phones these days. You have any questions? That's right. So if you remember in the beginning, I said there's that in an early disease, when you're diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a lower doses of medicine goes a long way, and you're doing really well. So you really don't need this. So once you get into 400 milligrams higher doses, then now you are in the middle of the Parkinson's disease development itself as the disease progresses. And we have actually let me find you one slide that you can, it gives you. Per day, 24 hours, that's right. So Retari, that will be equal of 650 milligrams of Retari, or cinnamon, 400 milligrams of cinnamon. Because when you look at the progression of Parkinson's disease, it measures in this scale. We call it Horn-Yarn scale. And, stage 0 and stage 1 is just early diagnosed, very functional people. They take their oral medicine, symptoms go away. And they don't have much breakthrough. So they really don't need this. But patients who are now, they take medication, but they still have symptoms. This is the patient that we are targeting. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. So everybody's Parkinson's can express itself differently. My mother had a tremor. And she will have later on, she will have a shuffle walk. She had, motor function issues. My good friend, who's my age, 53, is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease 4 years ago. Thanks to being my friend, I recognized he had Parkinson's disease. He didn't know. So I asked him to visit my friend, physician, came all crushed home. I have been diagnosed with Parkinson's. I told him, well, life didn't end. We just need to treat you. And he's feeling much better now. He's on oral medication. medication is doing well. And he's excited about this because he knows now once oral medication stops working, he has options to go into it where he can continue his normal life, but has a better treatment or is more control of disease itself.
The dosage versus the extended release, which is the third, that you're getting, you know.
That's right. So the biggest battle for any oral medication with Parkinson's disease patient is your GI tract. It works against you. And the food you take, if you take too much protein, it will upset absorption of your oral medications. Simple as that, because you can only absorb so much stuff, and you are now competing for absorption. So the actual dose of the plasma level that you're going to see varies day to day. And that's why it's so difficult to perfectly dose oral medications for any patients with a medium or advanced Parkinson's disease. Because maybe today you took big burger with your medication or inside of that, and that will affect your absorption. And yesterday you had light salad, and that will, absorb more your oral medications. Well, also one thing with the Parkinson's disease, it's what we call gastroparesis. Everyone's going to get it. And gastroparesis, you're familiar with the freezing of the muscles in Parkinson's disease, right? So your stomach is a muscle. So your stomach will freeze as well. And we looked at a patient with a gastroparesis. They will take medications, and we scoped them. And 2 hours after they took medication, we still found that pill sitting in the stomach because stomach froze for 2 hours. And then finally, it will release and will digest. And then, only then, you will get the medication absorbed once it gets into your intestines. With this, there's no GI is bypassed completely. It goes subcutaneously straight in your bloodstream and to your brain. So you can eat whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, and your symptoms could be, because of microdosing, at 3 levels of the infusion, you can find your sweet spot. And let's say you are now on the base dose, but then you find yourself using high dose all the time. You call the office and says, hey, I need my pump adjusted. You go back to the office. They now tweak the pump dosing. They make, for example, will change your high dose will be now your base dose. So we can tweak the dosage of the medication as your disease progress. We change the dosing with disease as well. So you maintain your control of your symptoms rather than playing catch up with oral medication, just add another medicine, another thing. So that's a great question. So at this point, because what we did soft release to the market because we know we are not on Medicare yet, and majority of Parkinson's patients are on Medicare. So we know that this medication is going to be blockbuster, is going to make a difference in Parkinson's disease. It's going to make waves. So what we did, instead of waiting for Medicare to get approved and then releases and then playing catch up with thousands and thousands of patients going to get instantly on this. I want it, right? We're doing soft release. So for first 6 months, we're just doing the patient 63 and under. And we're learning the ropes. We're learning, we're training the new nurses. We're training the doctors. So only select number of doctors are now picked to promote this. Dr. Gonzalez is one of them. There's only Dr. Sutherland, usually movement disorder specialists. So handful of them. But Medicare coming in late spring pretty much will be available for every neurologist out there. And now it's just question of if that doctor is going to adopt it or not. But beauty of this, you can request it. You can say, I want this. I want to try it. What would be your cost of it? Nothing. You're going to get approved by medication. You're going to try it. And let's say we did actually, let me find you one slide. We asked patients 6 months later, hey, how did you like it, right? And let me see if I can find that slide. It's pretty right here. So we asked patients, so 89% of patients reported, hey, this is pretty friendly. I like it. It's easy for me to use it. And 92% patients says, I love this. It made a difference in my mind. In medicine, when you get in the 90s, it's like unicorn. There's no medication that gives you 90%. It's just difficult. So just this testament tells you that this is making huge difference in patient lives.
Medicare, then obviously that part of that 20%, some people, their supplement might not be one that would, you know, pay for the rest or part of it.
Right.
That might be what.
So I work for AbbVie, which is the second largest pharmaceutical company in the world, and they're very patient oriented, which I'm very proud of it. That's why I stayed with them 28 years. My dad is physician. All my family is medical field. So I always want to really feel my drive is helping patients first, and everything else will come later. So what I like with this company is they're very patient centric. So right now we released it for 63 and under, and we have actually no cost to patient at all. We'll give you this medication regardless you have or you don't have insurance for 2 years for free. And then if insurance gets coverage, we'll start billing insurance. If it doesn't, you still get it for free. The Medicare is its own problem. The government doesn't allow us to give you free stuff. It doesn't let us. In their mind, they think that I'm buying you with it. And that's fine. That's a law, and we'll play inside of that sandbox they gives us. Because of Medicare doesn't allow these free programs, what we can do and what we've been doing with Duopa earlier, let's say you're on Medicare alone, and I seen patients with Duopa, which would be very similar coverage with the Vyalev, pay anywhere from $5 a month to $2,000 a month, because it depends which plan you pick. Everybody's different. A patient came in, it cost me nothing. Okay, no way. I just don't have $2,000. Don't have money, sorry. We have patient assistance program, and we enroll these patients through foundation that we fund. And the foundation will pick up the cost difference. So usually it's very simple and it's very generous program. You don't have to be poor to qualify. I have many patients who income is well over $100,000 and they qualify for free patient assistance program. Because what we do when we calculate that, we take cost of the drug, which is quite expensive, and we deduct that from your income. Suddenly, now you're like, oh, I'm not making that much if I have to pay all that cash, right? Not just $2,000, the whole cost of the drug. Because right now we're talking about you get it or you don't. And then that, according to the government, that's okay. Because foundation don't cover just Vyalev, they cover any other drugs too. And we will find our patient through foundations and they pick up the difference. Usually pretty much all of it. The patient will end up on the end of the zero, and that's good for the 1 year. And then next year you just reapply again and you get it as well. Yes, sir.
Sorry. You have to wear it all the time, other than take a shower or.
So you don't have to wear it all the time. For example, I have a gentleman who was on different kind of pump that I was working out in my gym, my YMCA, and I saw him every morning. He's there swimming in the pool, and happens to be he's in the changing room with me, and I saw him hook up that other pump that my mom was on. I'm like, hey, that's my pump, right? I've been seeing you here for years. He said to me, he says, I love it. He says, you can take my wife away. You're not taking my pump away. It's like, this just gives me my life back, right? So with this pump, it's even better because there's no tube. There's just skin patch, right? You can disconnect it up to 3 hours without doing anything. What you will do, probably give yourself extra dose, right? So you get a little boost and disconnect. Go to the beach, swim, take a shower, whatever you want to do. Or you just want to be slim and you don't want to see it, right? If you stay longer than 3 hours, there's a one extra button that I didn't tell you that you have to press, and that's called loading dose. So now your body, not being medicated for 3 hours, consumed most of the medications. So your symptoms going to start coming back, right? So only way to play catch up is to infuse extra medicine. So we call that loading dose, and we program that in a pump, and you'll just press that loading dose, and they will quickly bring your levels back up to the normal plasma level where they should be. When you go back on it, you only use that loading dose if you disconnect more than 3 hours. If it's less than 3 hours, just rehook it up and press start, and just continues dripping. So we looked at all these functions because we have experience for over 10 years with the Duopa pump, which was bigger pump going through the peg through your stomach. It was proceduralist involved, GI. Oh, this is just neurologist. You get it at home and you stick it on and you move on. Yeah, of course. Exactly. So you are experiencing this, ups and downs, even with extended release, much better, but still there. Because this is what's happening in your plasma levels of the medicine. It goes ups and down, ups and down. Yeah.
The protein now, like we're aware of when you take the medication, to watch your protein, deny certain things.
That's right.
Take the medication later. But throughout the day, it's still administering you, so you probably still have to keep the protein down.
So what Rytary does, it's and I think one of the questions was asked Doctor earlier, the similar question, how does the extended release works? So I actually have an answer for that. So it's designed to dissolve slower. That's all it is. It has a special coating on the pill itself, and you have many other headache medicine, Excedrin, extended release, this and that. So it has a special coating on it. Instead of dissolve, sooner hits like. So all of this medication is designed not to dissolve in your stomach in an acid environment. Its pill stays intact. When the environment from acid to base change in your intestines, then base level will dissolve the pill. So with Rytary, they put special coating on it. When it goes on the base, instead of immediately dissolving and getting absorbed, it slowly dissolves. For example, you have a sugar, you grab a spoon, you put it in a tea, you spin it around, it's dissolved. Or you take a cube, you put it in there, it takes longer time. So Rytary will be a sugar cube. So that's how it works. It just still is affected by protein. It's completely affected by your gastroparesis, because if it doesn't get emptied from your stomach to your jejunum, it doesn't matter. You can have a gold coin sitting in there, it's not getting there. So if you have gastroparesis, and majority of the patients who are Parkinson's and who get in advanced port of Parkinson will have gastroparesis. It's a muscle. If you have muscle freezing, you have gastroparesis. Simple as that. And I'm sure some of you experienced, you ate and you felt full for a long time. And that's what it is. Your food is still there. Your stomach is not emptying. That's why you're still feeling full. And eventually, stomach will get rid of that gastroparesis and digest the food. So everybody has that indication, just different form of it. We just bypass that part with this. It is wonderful. It made a difference in a lot of patient lives, just being literally not even 8 months on the market in Europe and 6 weeks in the United States. We cannot keep them on the shelves. It's Dr. Hauser, he mentioned Dr. Hauser. Dr. Hauser is one of the biggest researchers in United States. It's probably top 10 for the Parkinson's disease. He is right here local in USF. He's a big colleague of mine and friend of mine for long years. He's one of the researchers who was on our initial trials. So don't have to say USF, half of my pumps going to USF. Because all of his patients now, this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get. So that's it's a really beauty, and I'm excited to bring this to West Coast of Florida and to see a lot of patients, functioning. And sir, if I may point you out, I've been watching you since you came over here, and your symptoms are changing from the moment you came in this room to the moment you are right now. Because I see you from going on to off and now going back on. And then this is what this is addressing. Exactly what and I see you have a DBS, and I actually have a 2 patient on DBS and a pump just last week put on. Yeah, absolutely. You can have both. DBS is very beautiful tremors. It really gets rid of the tremors. You get on your phone, you turn it on, it gets rid of the tremors. But DBS really doesn't affect your off times. It just gives signal to your nerve centers for your tremors, and that's taking care of it, but your off times are not very much control with it. That's where this comes. Dopamine can only really do that, one form or another. So with the pump, you're affecting your dopamine. With the DBS, you're affecting your tremors, and now your off times are corrected by the violet pump, and tremors are corrected by the DBS. Although this does also correct tremors as well. But I have just last week, I had 2 patients on DBS and got pump on it. And one, I had already second titration, and she's doing wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And the second patient I have this tomorrow, Friday, I have a second titration. And he was a very difficult case, very sad, 45-year-old guy. He's on 3,500 milligrams of oral medication and DBS, and is 45.
Did it ever run out?
So the pump is designed, a battery in there, once a day, whatever you pick, whatever is the best time for you, you're going to do maintenance, right? You're going to take a pump, you're going to fill up new medication in there with a vial, and you're going to put a new battery. We provide it to you. It's like all cell phone batteries, you charge them. You have one on charger all the time. So once a day, will take you whole of the 2 minutes. You're going to fill up the syringe, put a new battery in there, and you go on with your day. That's all maintenance you need to do. In the trials, we kept the skin patch, right, 3 days. Every 3 days will have to be moved. And we've been finding a lot of issues with that, nodules, mild infection, irritations. And then we thought about it. I mean, if you put a Band-Aid on your hand, 3 days later, it's going to look like shit. Right? So then we changed it to 2 days, and 60% of these symptoms went away. So now we leave it up to physician. Hey, you can change that every other day or every day. I actually have a real pump here. I can demonstrate to you quickly how this is applied. It's so simple. It's a joke. You guys want to see that? So you're going to get something like this, plus your vials of medication. You keep them in the refrigerator, whatever you want to do. You will be trained. There's 24 hours, 7 days a week support on the phone. Nurse come to your home as many times as you said, okay, I'm enough. I don't need you anymore. I got it, right? So this is a fake skin patch on fake skin. So you can see how that, we call it cannula, right? This is where it's going to be, that's how it's connected. The needle is right there. You can touch it with your finger. It's plastic. You can touch with you. So that's when you apply it, you don't feel it. It's so it's called subcutaneous. It just goes barely under your skin, right? So we have this device. It's called cannula application device. So fancy. And so I'm going to demonstrate quickly how it's done. Call this dummy tummy. So imagine this is yeah. So you get these, and it's just the applicator, right? So you pull this off, which is just the safety. Just keep it clean, and the new cannula is in there. Then you have this like trigger safety. You take it out, you put it here, and that's it. It's applied. And literally, I did it on myself because I wanted to feel what it is. And I applied, and I'm like, it didn't work. I said, yeah, it did work. I'm like, it didn't. I didn't feel anything. There's no feeling. There's nothing. You literally just feel something being like. So of course, before the before we start, we train patient very well. The important part is, you start 2 inches from belly button, and then every 2 days you move it for another inch, kind of W pattern, and you don't want to be back to the same spot for another week. That's all really what ends up to it. Medication comes in a vial like this. You just fill it up in the syringe, and you fill up in the syringe. You put syringe inside, you close it, then you have this tubing that connects to the pump and to your cannula. And so strong, the last patient I had was walking through the house bare-chested, because she can, and got caught up in door handle and actually stopped her. I'm like, did they rip it? He said, didn't. He actually stopped me, like stopped my whole body. So the glue that is used on cannula is pretty strong. It's pretty strong, and it works really well. So having experience with the other pump and being in a market, neuroscience for a long time, we were able to put this new generation pump, subcutaneous, with all our experience previously of 10 years with Duopa, and make it really successful. We researched this for a long time. It took 10 years since idea was formed in our scientist's mind, like how can we bypass GI tract, but without major surgeries and tubing sticking out of it. So subcutaneous. So we have to change molecule first. You need to we make phosphodopa, which is prodrug that now could be absorbed subcutaneously and can cross brain blood barrier. So once we figured that out, then we figured out a pump. And this is the first pump on the market that is designed just for Parkinson's patients. All the other pumps are off-the-shelf medication delivery pumps, because there's many other diseases that are delivered with the pump systems, right? So we said, okay, Parkinson's are different. They have tremors, they have problems with the cognitive issues. There's many problems, right? So they cannot have off-shelf pump. It's complicated. Buttons are harder to press, harder to work. So we designed something that is like 2 cell phones, weight of the 2 cell phones, 10 ounces. This is real weight of it. This is real pump, actually. And once you put on fanny pack, I actually wear it. I forgot I have it. It's not that at all. So we were really happy that 92% of patients said back to us, it's easy to operate, it's easy to press. Yeah, it takes on average 2 visits by nurse. That's it. Third one, they say, no, I don't need you. It's so simple. I don't need you. But it's just, but it's very, very intuitive, because a screen tells you what to do. You open it, says, hey, you opened it. You put it, you close it. Did you put a new syringe in there? Yes, no, yes. And then starts working. It finds where the plunger is and says, what do you want me to do? Do you want to start? Yes. What dose you want to start? Base? Yes. Good. Done. That's how it works. It's very intuitive. It asks you, and if you screw up, it tells you no. If something happens, it will beep. And then you look at the screen, it will tell you while it's beeping, you're out of medication, your battery is running low. Our batteries are designed for 36 hours of continuous high dose operation. So that's why we ask patients change it every day, so you don't have a low batteries issue. Yeah, I grab it from you. So that way, so that's that extra button I told you, extra dose on the top. It has a little, and that's it. You just change it up and down what dose you want. And that's really all what it is to it. It's as simple as that. Yes, so figure that out. So a lot of patients they like to dose themselves. We've seen that on our medications. A lot of patients will rather be dyskinetic than off, because it's so hard to be on when you are in the advanced disease. So, like for example, Michael J. Fox, you see him every time on an interview, he's dyskinetic, because at least you're alive when you're dyskinetic, right? You'd rather be dyskinetic and functioning than off and non-functioning. So With this, we don't want patient to be dyskinetic. The point is that you are normal, that you're not off, you're not dyskinetic. Our goal is that you are normal. So we program in together with your physician. For example, extra dose, we put minimum 2 hours lockout. So that's how long it takes it to that dose to be completely absorbed. So you press extra dose, you give yourself double shot of espresso. And if you try, I'm going to press another one. It says, nope, you have 1 hour and 30 minutes left before you can do it again. Same thing, remember when we talk about loading dose, once you disconnect more than 3 hours, same thing, we put 3 hours minimum for the lockout and loading dose. So let's say I put loading dose now and I'm like, oh, I'm going to give myself extra dose. It will block extra dose too. It's smart. It knows, it will protect you from yourself. So if you need more medicine, it's time to call a doctor and we will reprogram the pump to put you back again, and we call it sweet spot, when your medicine's working, you're feeling well, you're symptom free. Yeah, it's really, really wonderful.
When I remember when he was opening the nursing home because overhit different times and wasn't not home. But the nurses didn't come on time, and the poor thing had to suffer.
Oh, it is. Most of you, right? Most of you are slaves of your alarm system now on your phones. Am I right with that? I mean, how nice will be that doesn't ring every 2-3 hours. I mean, you're just getting the sweet spot watching the movie now, baby. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so I know. I was with my mom for years. So just that pill burden is actually a real thing. I mean, find your favorite candy, right? If I make you now eat that candy every 2 hours for the rest of your life, you're going to hate me. Really, in 6 months into, you're going to hate me. A year into, you're going to hate that candy. And that's pill burden. It's a real thing. What beauty of doing, yes, it's a hustle. Yes, I'm carrying it. But trust me, you forget it because there's no pain, there's no discomfort. It's just getting, and you're feeling good. I actually only remember this, that I'm carrying it, when I talk to you about it. I can go the whole day with this. I come home and oh my God, I still have it on. It's just comfortable. There's another one which is a stretchy, which is even more comfortable. This is what it comes in, but you can find them. You can buy these packs who are designed for these pumps on Amazon inexpensively and cheaply. So, yeah. That's right. You eat whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, as much as you want. Yeah. But what beauty of this is that by keeping you in your own time, right, longer, it gives you energy to do other stuff in your life, right? I want to exercise. The best thing really for Parkinson's these days is your muscle function. You're working out. You have a boxing, you have all of the things. That's the best thing. Remembering your brain to transfer the signal from brain to the muscle is only does it when you do use the muscle. If you're not using muscle, it's not happening. So training your brain, doing activities, picking, I have my mom put a ball of the marbles and she would put each one. My mom was a little bit bigger, so really didn't work out for her. But I made some stuff for her. Wash the dishes, do some activities. And it was up and down battle. With this, because if she's off, you can do whatever you want. She's not going to do it. It's impossible because even she gets a brain fog and everything. She was very intellectual. She was reading books and everything. When I see the book that she didn't touch it, I know she's underdosed. But then if she gets overdosed, then she can't read because she's all over the place, So it's difficult. What this beauty of this is gives you that steady state all the time. So you don't have to pre-dose yourself. Oh, I got to go to doctor office. I'm going to take my pills now because 2 hours from now, I'm going to be in the office and I'll be functional. This is always same. You're always there. And that's what beauty of it is. Yeah, good. Until we come to the cure, this is one of the things that in the medicine bag doctors now have too as well to help you out with your treatment options. That's right.
That's good stuff. I mean, I'm not concerned about eating during the whole day and things.
Well, it does affect it, right? It works better than the regular, but it's not one solution. And as the disease progresses and you get more gastroparesis, it gets harder and harder. So, but at least, you know, we have this now available in the market. I'm very proud and happy to present it to you. Hopefully, you know, hopefully you don't need it. Your oral medication is good, works great. But if your oral medication is not keeping you where you should be, you should ask your physicians, what are my other more advanced treatment options for me? And they are there. They should know. Some doctors, you know, don't choose to use these advanced options, and you should ask for second opinion. You don't be married to one physician. I'll tell you that. I've seen all kinds of doctors there. Most of them are good, but unfortunately, they got to make money. They got to do their, you know, they have bills to pay. This takes more time from their day. You come, he writes your script, you leave, but oral medication, you're done. This has to be commitment. It has to be patient first time, has to be 2 hours in the office, has to come again. You know, it has to be commitment from the doctor. And I like Dr. Gonzalez, he's open to that. Yeah. It's not all about money and how many patients I see there. Like it's about what difference I can make in patient lives. Like he came over here, he doesn't get paid for it. You know, he took a time out of the day to educate you guys, which I commend him, really. That's good. Same, that's why you do whatever you are, not just in Parkinson's disease. You know, I've been in medicine for a long time. Don't be hesitant to ask for second opinion. And I'll tell you how you're going to know he's a good doctor. If the doctors encourage you to ask for second opinion, there's excellent doctor. If he gets offended by it, that's not a good doctor, because he's afraid that his knowledge is not up to par with his colleagues, that he's going to get embarrassed by his colleague. And then you were like, then he's going to be, oh, the word's going to spread. I don't know my shit. But the good doctor who is confident will say, yes, absolutely. Go see other, go whoever you have in mind, or I'll recommend you somebody, and they might see something that I don't see, and they're okay with it because they're confident in their knowledge. So that's right. Always ask for something that is life-changing and affecting you every day. It's good to get 2 opinions. If you have a cough and you get antibiotic treatment, you don't need a second opinion. But something like this, it affects you, affects your family, affects community, affects your influence on your family. You're needed. I need it. I have 3 kids. I mean, without me, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to run into walls, I feel sometimes. So they need me. Your kids need you. Your grandkids need you. So community needs you. But you deserve to have normal functioning life. My pleasure. Take care.